Lance, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All righty. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 16th regular meeting of your Board of Commissioners. Tonight, our invocation will be given by Pastor Terry Larson of Shady Grove Baptist Church. And following that, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance will be offered by Jackson Southard. We'll talk about him right after the invocation. If you'll stand, if able. And Reverend.
Opportunity to lead in prayer, and let's bow in prayer together. Heavenly Father, we are thankful for this day, another day that you've given to us. We are thankful for the blessings of life. We are blessed to live in the United States. We are blessed to live in Rockingham County. This is a good place to live, and we're grateful for that. And Lord, we pause right now that at the beginning of this meeting, Lord, that in everything that is done, that you might be magnified and glorified. Lord, we're thankful for these county commissioners, for their leadership. We understand and realize that you have placed them into this position. And so we pray that you will give them wisdom, that you will give them discernment, and the decisions that they have to make, they will look to you for guidance. We're thankful for these and every person that is represented in this room tonight. I pray your blessings on their families and on their lives, and we pray this in Jesus' name, the name that is above every name. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing. Jackson Southern will offer our pledge tonight. He's 13 years old. He's homeschooled, and we appreciate you being here. Please face the flag, if you will.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jackson. I did. Please be seated. With that, the next item on our agenda is the approval of our agenda tonight. Do we have a motion? Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second for the approval of our agenda?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. All right, next, the first item is the consent agenda. And consent agenda items are non-controversial items. However, if anyone has questions about these items, please contact Lance Metzler, the county manager. And do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda, but I would like to point out item number 3, the appropriation of $160,000 grant awarded to the Rockingham County Airport. Funds would be used for airport capital improvements from our Senator Berger and House Representative Reese Purple.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Powell. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Very good. Our next item is public comment. And Samantha Ahern, is that correct? Well, wait a minute, I've got the wrong one. Hang on. Apologize for that. Yes, okay. Malcolm Allen, if you will, make your way. Give us your name and address, but while you're making your way, I'll ask the county manager to read our guidelines.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. The public comment shall be for the purpose of allowing members of the public to present any matter pertaining to county business or items on the Board of Commissioners' agenda. The remarks shall be addressed directly to the Board of Commissioners, not to staff, the audience, or media. The chairperson shall open the public comment period. Any speaker who wishes to speak shall approach the podium and not speak from his or her seat. Each speaker should clearly state his or her name and physical address when he or she approaches the podium. Each person shall be allotted 3 minutes. Citizens will be allowed to yield their time on a specific topic by utilizing one more attendee's time. This would allow no more than 6 minutes. Your time will be displayed on the monitor in front of you. The clock will start with 3 minutes. You will hear a beep at 1 minute to alert you to wrap up your comments. Speakers appearing before the Board of Commissioners will not be allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, or use language of a personal nature which insults or demeans any person or which, when directed at a public official, is not related to his or her official duties. The Board of Commissioners may accept written comments in lieu of oral statements. Written statements can be delivered to the county manager's office. Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Mr. Allen, please give us your name and address.
My name's Malcolm Allen, 770 Highway, Eden, North Carolina. I thank you for this opportunity to speak to you about a process. I've been alarmed by a recent event I observed. Viewing a particular party I saw where one of their own were being kept off the ballot because of a past criminal act, which has been justly satisfied, but not to the satisfaction of our Rockingham County party. My question is, how can one object to this satisfied act and support a candidate with 91 indictments? And who, in his own voice, called for a state secretary to find him 11,000 more votes? After being asked to remove him because of the 14th Amendment, I heard nightly, let the voters decide. But in Rockingham County, the party will decide. Is there a double standard of justice? And who decides who Rockingham County voters get to vote for? I close saying this. If this party won't treat each other fairly, how can we expect fairness for the rest of us? Purging a party, a people, a race is not the action of democracy, but a symbol of anarchy. And I thank you for this time.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Our next person signed up is Doug Isley. Please make your way to the podium. Give us your name and an address, please.
Good evening, gentlemen. Doug Isley, 1790 Flat Rock Road, Reidsville, North Carolina. Rockingham County resident, lifetime. I'm curious as to when the county started weaponizing departments and the county attorney to attack citizens. The county attorney has sent me a letter a while back when I was corresponding with him getting information, and in response to my calls to the county government, I asked him to produce records of my phone calls from my number to the county government. I guess he thought that he was playing games because there was quite a few phone calls, but I don't think he realized that I was still on the school board when a lot of those calls were made. And I made quite a few calls over here discussing issues with the county manager, different departments about landfill, about all kinds of things going on in the county. But for a member of staff that you hired, that y'all voted on, to send a letter to try to stifle my speech and say, don't call over here. I asked him to produce law and legislation. The only thing he referenced to me was general statute about threats. Haven't conveyed any threats to anybody in Rockingham County. I made numerous phone calls asking questions, but then he wanted to, I guess, I don't know who told him to do it, send me a letter and tell me, well, if you want to talk, you need to come before the county commissioners. So I decided to come tonight. I wanted to wait a little bit so I could settle down because it's kind of irritating that he would do this. So I just wanted to come before y'all tonight and tell you, you can't tell a citizen of Rockingham County, the 92,300 residents that we got, that they can't call over here and limit the number of calls. There is no general statute. There is no rule in Rockingham County. And then to call up and say, well, they're wasting their time. They're wasting their time. Are you going to tell the other citizens of Rockingham County they're wasting their time? Shouldn't. Y'all represent the people, whether somebody agrees with you or not. You're supposed to represent the people. I appreciate the time. Thank you for listening to me. Everybody be safe.
Thank you, Mr. Isley. We got no one else signed up to speak during public comment tonight. With that, we'll have number 7 is public hearings with Hiram Marziano. Marzi?
Good evening. Get this pulled up for you. All right, this is case 2023-21 on Ellisboro Road. It's a rezoning request. It's a request to take the current property, which is split zone from neighborhood commercial and residential agricultural, to just solidly neighborhood commercial. The location is 4689 Ellisboro Road. It is in the Huntsville Township. Again, this is a conventional rezoning. At the December 11th Planning Board meeting, the Planning Board voted unanimously 7-0 to recommend approval. The vicinity map shows that this is all the way down, basically almost in Guilford County. Here's a zoning map where you can see the portion of the front of the property is neighborhood commercial, portion of the rear is residential agricultural. You'll notice that to the north there's also a slight little neighborhood commercial. That's because this property used to be combined. In your packet, there's a survey map showing that when it was split. This is just for the portion that is hashed out there for you. It's surrounded on all sides by largely residential protected and residential agricultural to the rear. It's in our G2 land class. Don't know if you can see this that well. It's not showing that well up on my screen. There's a little line there at the top. This whole area is in the G2 land class, but it's almost out of it back into O2. In the G2 land class, we do find that neighborhood commercial operations are consistent. Especially where there isn't water and sewer provided. That's what would be the difference between a highway commercial and neighborhood commercial. We're keeping this in the less dense neighborhood commercial in this land class. Just an overhead so you can see the current use. I believe the desire is to also take the current use and extend it further to the rear of the parcel. Again, G2 is characterized by neighborhood commercial, medium density residential growth. Our economic development goals in the land use plan also call for supporting existing commercial opportunities. For those reasons, that is consistent with the plan. We find it reasonable due to the previous rezoning of this land back in 2018, that front portion, and to continue the existing operations with little impact to the residential area surrounding it. And any questions?
Gentlemen, anyone have questions at this time? With that, thank you, Marzi. With that, we will open the public hearing. And we do have one person signed up to speak. And so let me do that, and I'll ask our attorney to read the protocol for this. Mr. Albright.
Thank you. The public hearing procedures, all those desiring to speak during the public hearing, sign in on the sign-up sheet located at the entrance to the Commissioners' Chambers. If you haven't signed up, go ahead and do that. The applicant or the designee will be allotted up to 15 minutes to present their proposal, and at the conclusion of the applicant's presentation, the public will have the opportunity to speak regarding their proposal. Once the public has had the opportunity to voice their concerns in favor or against, then the applicant has 7 minutes to provide a rebuttal. The public hearing will then be closed. Following the closing of the public hearing, the commissioners will have an opportunity to deliberate and decide the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. All right, tonight we do have Samantha Ogren, is that right? If you'd like to speak, make your way to the podium. Thank you.
My name's Samantha Algren. I'm at 9908 NC Highway 704 in Madison, North Carolina. Yeah, we have the first acre, it's already gravelled, it's already parking, and we're wanting to do the same thing with the additional 2 acres. So it'll be, actually, I think it's a little over 3 acres altogether.
And you're the applicant, is that right? Okay. All right, very good. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for her? I know her time's ticking, but do we have any questions for her?
Well, I've got one. You weren't the original applicant for the existing property. You bought this property after it was previously rezoned.
Right, yes.
Okay, that's just for us to.
Okay, yeah.
Very good. Gentlemen, any further questions? No questions. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Does anyone wish to speak on this matter who didn't sign up? That being said, I don't see anyone, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. Gentlemen, is there any further discussion?
I have a question there, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I have property that sort of adjoins this. It's right across the road. And so,
Do you have a financial interest in the turnout of this vote?
no, but I will vote at the pleasure of my colleagues.
Does anyone see fit to recuse Commissioner Richardson? He does not have a financial interest in the outcome of this. Mr. Attorney, you don't see an issue, do you?
If he has a direct financial interest in the property, that's the test. It has to be a direct financial. Yeah, I do not have a direct test, but I was interested in full disclosure of my status.
Mr. Richardson, I feel that you have a duty to vote on this matter by right of your seat. So I appreciate you pointing that out, though. Mr. Marzi, do you have any further presentation to make?
No, just in your package, you do have all the uses for both neighborhood commercial and residential agricultural, just to point that out in case you want to review those. We do have a different format for you guys. We have prepared a draft ordinance. It has everything from your reasonable statement, consistency statement. If y'all are so inclined, you could use that. If you do approve, if you deny, then you can just use the regular statement. I just wanted to point out the change in the packet.
All right, I don't have that with my packet tonight. So do you have it?
I believe instead of having to go through the whole spiel that we were doing before, it was a motion to approve, and that's it. And I'll go ahead and make that motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Berger. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Oh, excuse me, wait a minute.
Close the public hearing.
I did. I did. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks, y'all.
Yes, sir. All right, that takes us to item number 8, Via Health. Thank you, folks, for being here tonight.
Good evening. I probably should have asked this question before I got up here. Is it loaded here? Do I just find it?
I think you've got help coming.
Okay, good. Is that one right there?
It should be this one right here.
This one right here?
Yeah, that's the final. That's the only one that's got 26 lines.
Mm,
It might be that. I think that's that one.
I think it's this one. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right. Okay. I can't see behind me. Is it working? Are we good? No, not working. Is it working?
Oh, hit that little button right there.
There we go. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and talk with you a little bit about Via Health. I think I'd first like to just acknowledge this is somewhat of a unique situation. I recognize that the General Assembly made a decision in the budget bill and directed the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services to reduce the number of LME MCOs. The Secretary made that decision, and as part of his decision, he reassigned Rockingham County away from Sand Hill Center and to Via Health. And my name is Tracy Hayes. I'm the area director and the CEO of VIA Health. And if you will give me just a little bit of your time, I know I have 15 minutes, so I'm going to try very hard to stay within that time frame. I have a lot to share with you about our organization, but I did just want to, at the outset, recognize this was not necessarily something that you asked for. We are here to support Rockingham County and absolutely do the best that we can do for the citizens of Rockingham County. So a little bit about VIA. We have been doing this, you can see here from the slide, for more than 50 years. We started as an area authority in 1973 in the 7 westernmost counties. You can see that picture from the groundbreaking. We were originally Smoky Mountain Mental Health, and that lady there in the front on the right in the skirt is a woman named Dot Crawford. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Dot Crawford. She was the first female DSS director in North Carolina and a member of our board into her 90s, passed away, I believe she was 102, and a huge supporter of mental health services, social services across North Carolina, and she's kind of a guiding star for us. We have drawn a lot of our inspiration from Dot's life and work. We have completed prior mergers with a number of different MCOs. So we went from our original 7 counties, including Rockingham on February. We will be managing services in 32 counties. And you can see the map there. We've completed prior mergers with Foothills, New River, Western Highlands, and 9 counties from the former Cardinal Innovations. We are managing services now for over 100,000 Medicaid members, and that number continues to grow with the recent Medicaid expansion. We've picked up about 6,000 additional members through the Medicaid expansion. We have a proven track record of success. We've been meeting the needs of local communities. We are very invested in our local communities. We believe in the public system. We believe that the public system is the best approach for North Carolina and for meeting the needs of our communities, especially our more rural communities. One of the things that VIA specializes in with our history, we are not an MCO made up of large urban centers. Our biggest urban center, of course, is Buncombe County, Asheville, and neighboring county of Henderson, but the vast majority of our counties are definitely considered rural, and we have developed a lot of expertise in meeting the needs of our rural communities. We employ, actually, I got update on that number. We currently employ over 1,100 people across our local communities. And that's another thing I want to emphasize. We are not a national company managing services from another state. We are North Carolina citizens and residents who believe in our communities. We live and work in these communities, and we want our communities to be healthy and successful because we are part of them. We are also, just like a county, a local government entity. We have a responsibility to manage taxpayer dollars, and we focus very hard on trying to manage those dollars wisely so that we can get services to as many people who need them. A little bit about VIA Health and our leadership team. So I stepped in to the CEO role on July 1st. So I have been doing this in the CEO role as the area director for a little over 6 months. I have been, however, with Smoky VIA for over 10 years. And before that, I am an attorney by training, so don't hold that against me. But I worked for the Attorney General's office, and I represented the state Medicaid program for many years and the state division of mental health. So that's where I got my Medicaid and my mental health background, and then I kind of moved into health policy work and then moved to accept this job with Smoky, which later became VIA. With me today, we do not have our entire executive leadership team, but I would like to introduce Rhonda Cox, who is our Chief Operations Officer. I think some of you know Rhonda from some prior presentations that she has done. And Rhonda is, of course, responsible for the vast majority of our clinical and external-facing operations. And hopefully over the coming months, you'll get the opportunity to meet some of our other leadership team. So I think what I would want you to know is that we, again, are really community-focused. We have helped pioneer a community-based approach that puts people first. We believe in the power of recovery. We believe that people can and do recover from mental health and substance use challenges. We believe that peers and peer support specialists are a critical part of the continuum. We have built a lot of our model around supporting the peer support approach. and that we are also focused on integrated person-centered care that treats individuals as a whole person, reflecting their uniqueness. And that's the same way we approach our communities. We know that Rockingham County has its own unique local needs that are going to be different from the 31 other counties that we manage. We came here earlier today. Many thanks to County Manager Lance Metzler and Felissa Farrell, who have been tremendous support for us as we have worked through this transition. We scheduled a meeting earlier today with the community, which I think went well, to introduce VIA and talk about how we approach care. We really believe in the power of working together. We're not here from Asheville to tell you guys how services should be in Rockingham County. We are here to listen to you, to understand what your needs are in Rockingham County, and to figure out how we can meet your needs. Every county is different. We can certainly come and talk to you about things that have been successful in other counties and programs that have worked, but we recognize that every county is unique and that we are here to listen to you and understand what you need and how we can help support you. So as I said, our focus is going to be on learning more about your needs. We have started that. We have been shared the quite lengthy gaps analysis and needs assessment that you all had conducted. We've been working our way through that, and we're going to be continuing to meet with some of the folks in your county to learn more about where things are with services, where we need to grow services, what's working well, what's not working well, what would you like to change. We have an embedded approach to care management, so what you will see with VIA is that our care managers will be here in Rockingham County. We will offer, it is entirely up to Rockingham County as to whether they want to accept it or not, but we offer an embedded care manager in your DSS office to actually be on site to help manage challenging cases as they come up day to day. We will partner with providers to help them improve quality. We have a dedicated community relations team. I'll briefly introduce our VP of Community Relations, Mr. Brian Shuping, and Kara Donor, who will be the Regional Community Relations Director assigned to Rockingham County. She will be your primary point of contact for all things Rockingham County. She will be here coming to meetings to hear what you need, and again, she will be your primary point of contact. We really work hard to mobilize to solve problems, right? This is not a perfect system. The public behavioral health system, for those of you who have been doing this for a long time, probably know what are we on? We're like on our 10th mental health system change in the last 20 years. So lots of changes in the system. We will mobilize to solve problems. It's not a perfect system, but we will be responsive. We will be here. We work nights. We work weekends. We work after hours. You can call us, and you'll see at the end of the slide deck, I've got my personal cell number, Rhonda's personal cell, Brian Shuping's and Kara's. You can reach out to us and call us if you have a constituent issue or anything that we can help you with. We're going to work hard to expand access to care so that more citizens can get the services and supports that they need for their challenges. And the big thing we are working on, of course, right now is being able to successfully launch our tailored plan. That is part of the reason that the General Assembly made the decision to get down to 4 LME MCOs, is to ensure the success of the tailored plan model that the department has designed. And the tailored plan means that we will, instead of just managing behavioral health services and IDD and TBI services, we will also begin to manage physical health services and pharmacy services for this population. So the population is those individuals who have mental health, substance use, IDD, or traumatic brain injury needs. But instead of just managing that one part of them, we're going to be managing all of the services, physical health and pharmacy. We have had a wonderful and long partnership with Billy West, the president and CEO of Daymark, who I believe many of you know. And Billy, of course, is helping to manage the build-out of the Daymark Behavioral Health Urgent Care Center across the street. Street, road, highway. It's not too far from here. And just wanted to share a quote. Billy was in attendance earlier today and spoke very highly. We appreciate Billy very much. I think one of the things that I would want you to know, our experience with Billy is he genuinely deeply cares about the people he serves. We have all had the experience of reaching out to Billy at 9 p.m. to say, hey, we've got a crisis, can you help us? And he always answers the phone, and he is always there to help. And that's how we try to approach our partnership with Billy. Want to talk a little bit since it's been 2 years, exactly 2 years, I think, since the Cardinal consolidation took effect, where we began to manage services in 9 of the former Cardinal counties. And here, just a very brief overview of some of the things that we have accomplished. We have increased access to mobile crisis management. We spent a lot of time in our earlier meeting talking about that, but really sat down to understand what are the barriers for mobile crisis teams in some of those counties. How can we restructure the funding? And we have seen some pretty impressive increases in the statistics around people accessing mobile crisis services. We implemented single-point assessments within our DSS offices. That's something, again, that we have offered to Rockingham County. I think one of the things I would say is that you are very fortunate in your DSS director. Not every county that we work with has a DSS director as accomplished as you do, and so she is already very much ahead of the game on some of these things, which is going to help quite a bit. We've done a lot to work with law enforcement around diversion, to help divert individuals away from emergency departments and into more appropriate crisis continuums. Law enforcement was at the meeting earlier today, got the chance to meet with some of them. That was very positive. We're looking forward to continuing to work with them. We'll continue to support them with things like crisis intervention team training and other initiatives. So we have a lot of plans to meet with law enforcement and make sure that we are all on the same page and aligned and working together. And we've expanded support for substance use recovery. We've also opened four or so new facilities. We've opened new comprehensive care centers in Person County and Caswell County. We broke ground on a new crisis center in Alamance County. It is actually scheduled to open in April of this year. I did a walkthrough of that center about a week and a half ago with the director of the Division of Mental Health. So we're very excited about that. One of the things I shared with the group earlier today is that one of the positives out of the state budget this year is that we saw it is one of the most fiscally supportive budgets for behavioral health in a long time. There is $835 million allocated in the state budget this year to support expansion of behavioral health services with a specific focus on crisis services. These funds are coming from the Medicaid expansion bonus that that the state of North Carolina receives as part of passing Medicaid expansion. And so one of the things the department has done is sent us a survey on what are the projects that VIA wants to propose for some of these funding. So what I would want you to know is one of the things we included in there is ongoing funding to support the Rockingham County BHUC. We know that, it's not just about spending money on building it. You've got to have the money to sustain it over time. And so we are already asking the department that out of that $835 million, some funds are allocated to support the Rockingham County BHUC. We also contributed as soon as we found out. Billy let us know that there was a little bit of a shortfall with the funding for that and that you needed some additional funds to complete some of the security measures for the facility. So we immediately reached out to your county manager, and we have allocated an additional $70,000 from our fund balance so that you guys can get that project over the finish line quickly. So we're very excited about that and looking forward to supporting you with that. We also just recently opened another behavioral health walk-in clinic in Chatham County. So those are just a few of the examples of some of the projects that we have worked on with the counties that came to us from Cardinal Innovations. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, just wanted you to know that in addition to some of the programs I've talked about, we also do a lot of work to help people live successfully in the community, because that is the model that has been found to be the best for people, right? People should be able to move from institutional settings to living successfully in the community with wraparound services and supports when they can, because it's going to be more cost-effective from a healthcare perspective, and generally people have a better quality of life, experience a meaningful day. We have had the honor of the department sort of considering us the statewide leader on the Transitions to Community Living program. This is a program that helps people who have been living in adult care homes, people with serious mental illness, move into the community start to become productive citizens by having supported employment services, getting jobs, living in their own apartment, getting wraparound services, and many of these people have been extremely successful in the community and are living very happy and meaningful lives. We also have created services for people who are waiting to get on the Innovations Waiver. If you are not familiar with the Innovations Waiver, this is a program for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. It is a waiver program, which means it's limited by the number of slots funded and awarded by the General Assembly. Right now in North Carolina, there is about a 10-year waiting list across the state for people wanting to get an Innovations Waiver slot. That's a long time for families to wait, so we worked hard to identify and create a service that these families could receive while they are waiting for an Innovations Waiver slot. We have also developed an innovative program with the Division of Vocational Rehab that helps provide additional support to providers for people who are getting individual placement and support services. And we have also leveraged a program called Money Follows the Person to help people who are living, these are people who in many cases have been living for decades in an institution, what's called an ICF or an intermediate care facility, to help them transition into the community, and we have been very successful with that as well. And all of these programs help save the state money because they are more efficient to serve people in the community than to serve them in an institution in many cases. We have a community collaboration model that really focuses on wrapping ourselves around Rockingham County, whether it's our executive leadership team, our community relations team that I introduced you to, our provider network team. I would introduce to you our Vice President of Physical Health Network and Value-Based Care, Mr. George Ingram, and Mr. Donald Bruce, who is our Vice President of Behavioral Health and IDD Network Operations. They really are there on the ground helping support our providers. What I said earlier to the group today, we could not do any of this without our providers. Many of you will remember, of course, the original area authority model was that we were the providers, right? We had walk-in centers, we had community mental health centers, and that's where people came to get their services. And over time, that model has changed so that we are managing the care through private providers. We know that nothing we do matters without these providers. We absolutely have to support them. They are struggling. COVID has been very hard on providers. It's been very hard on the workforce, trying to help support our providers, hire the staff they need, getting them the funding they need to get people back into the workforce in your communities. And we also have our care management department, which is responsible for wrapping around members to help them navigate the services that they need to live healthy lives. So what does this mean for Rockingham County? So we're going to have dedicated community relations staff. Currently, across our 31 counties, we are participating or engaging in over 300 local community meetings. So one of Kara's first steps is going to be sitting down with folks here and figuring out what are the county and community meetings that she needs to be attending so she can learn more about Rockingham County. What meetings does Donald need to be at? What meetings does George need to be at? So that we are on the ground with you all, figuring out what it is that you need. We will have dedicated care management staff who work in this county. They will not be based somewhere else. They will be based in Rockingham County to serve your citizens. We're going to help you get the Daymark BHUC completed and operational. We want to expand the partnership with law enforcement. We're going to work on any additional initiatives coming out of your needs assessment and gaps analysis. And we're going to continue the dedicated training efforts around things like CIT training, wellness recovery action plan, mental health first aid, and question, persuade, refer, which is a suicide prevention training. This is just, for those of you who may or may not be familiar with the Community and Family Advisory or Consumer and Family Advisory Committees, every LME MCO has a CFAC. And this is a group made up of people receiving services and their families, people with lived experience. We have worked very hard at VIA to really incorporate the voice of the CFAC into our governance structure and into our operations. We believe that services are going to be better if we actually listen to the people receiving services so they can tell us, here's what works, here's what doesn't work. We have 4 CFAC members who participate on our board of directors. And we've gotten some really positive feedback and included a quote here from one of the CFAC members who came to us from Cardinal. Just wanted to share 3 quotes that we've gotten recently. I'm not gonna pretend to you that we don't get complaints. We get complaints, but I thought it would be good for you all to hear about some of the good stuff that we're doing from some of the members and guardians and people actually receiving services. So this was from a family that said, "The support, encouragement, and resources from VIA help make it possible for us to feel heard and supported. I have seen both my daughter and son come through so much with the support from your VIA team over the past year especially. The understanding at VIA really is helpful. We really try to be person-centered. Our goal is to listen." This is one that came in, I think about 2 months ago, a very lengthy email from the aunt of one of our members who wanted to just give us positive feedback about one of our staff members, Joey Bishko. Joey is an inReach coordinator who helps people transitioning from institutions back into the community. This young man, the nephew of this woman, had a very tragic and hard upbringing. Individual had an IDD, both parents were deceased, had been raised by the grandparents, had lived in an institution most of his life. And with VIA's support, with Joey's support, he was able to move out of an institution and live his life in the community. And she wrote, "It is important to me that you know our journey in order for you to understand how amazing Joey is. He did everything right and for all of the right reasons. He has not lost sight of the importance of what he is doing. He sees all people, no matter their disability, as important and worthy of being loved and cared for." And we try really hard to make that our approach with all of the members that we serve. They are all worthy human beings deserving of our care and our concern. And then this last one here I wanted to share simply because of the last part where they say, "We have worked with a number of organizations over the past 15 years, but none of them have went above and beyond like you have." And again, I cannot promise you that we will be perfect. The system is not perfect, but I can promise you that we will go above and beyond. We will work after hours, nights, weekends. We will be available to you to help support this county. Mental health, behavioral health, substance use, IDD, TBI, these are all complex challenges. The healthcare system is facing a healthcare workforce crisis like nothing that we have seen in decades. These are all challenges that we're going to have to work collaboratively to overcome, but we want you to know that we are here for you, we are your partners, we are here to support you and listen to you. I'm going to transition a little bit and just talk about February 1 is the official transition date, so I just want you to know a little bit about what we specifically have been doing to prepare for February 1 and make it as seamless as possible. So we use a command center approach to make sure that nothing is getting dropped. We have a project manager who's overseeing this. We submitted a transition plan to the department. We wanted first and foremost to ensure that Rockingham County is appropriately represented on both our regional board and our full board of directors. So the way we have approached governance, since we will now have 32 counties, we have 4 regional boards. Rockingham County will be assigned to Region 4. You will fit right there in between Stokes and Alamance within Region 4. And every county appoints 2 people to the regional board, right? So Region 4, I think, has 7 or 8 counties in it, and they each appoint 2 people to the regional board. It's my understanding that you all have chosen to appoint Mr. Richardson and Mr. Keith Duncan. Is that correct? Do I have that name right? Mm-hmm. And to the regional board. In addition, we have, and then the regional boards each appoint 2 people to the governing board. So there's 8 regional board representatives on our governing board, along with our 4 CFAC members and some at-large representatives. We do have an at-large seat, and it's our understanding that Mr. Richardson will be nominated to serve in an at-large capacity on our governing board as well. So that was kind of our first approach. We really want to make sure that you all feel welcomed and represented at our governance level. We have been contracting with Rockingham County providers and getting them loaded into our claim system. We want to make sure providers need to get paid, right? We don't need to have any sort of hiccups with that where it takes them a month to get paid. They need to continue getting those payments because they are all operating on a very thin margin and they can't afford to be without those payments by and large. We do have the capacity and ability to advance funds if we need to for any providers that are struggling to transition to the new claim system. We'll provide training and technical assistance. Donald spent quite a bit of time earlier today just kind of sharing, here are our efforts. This is what we will do to make sure that providers are fully supported. We will have dedicated representatives. They will have assigned contract managers. We will be there to support them. We're going to waive prior authorization for 120 days. We don't need anybody held up with prior authorization. We're going to honor any authorizations that come to us from Sandhills Center. We're working to hire the care management staff we need, and we're going to honor all the tailored care management assignments as best we can so that members transition with their same care manager. Ideally, a member won't really even notice the change, right? They might see, well, we used to have Sandhills and now we have VIA, but they won't experience any break in services. They'll continue to get services from the same provider. They'll continue to work with the same care manager. That is our goal. We will be mailing welcome packets to members, and often when we do that, we start to get a lot of calls. We operate a 24/7, 365 call center. Those staff will be trained to answer any questions from Rockingham County residents and make sure that we can alleviate any concerns they have. We have been working very collaboratively with Sandhills, and I really could not say enough good things about Anthony Ward and the team at Sandhills. It is unfortunate how things have worked out with the General Assembly. Have nothing but respect for Anthony and Evelyn and other folks on the executive team. They have been absolutely supportive. They have been providing us with the data. And we'll continue to work with them even after February 1 if questions come up. We are all in this together. We are here to support Rockingham County. The command center approach just really means that we will have immediate and timely response to any issues that come up. So until we get to steady state, until everybody feels comfortable, providers can call a number, talk to a live person, get their problem resolved, get things triaged, and continue moving about their business. That's our goal. Primary points of contact, you've got them right here. It's myself, Rhonda, Brian, and then Kara is your main point of contact. You've got our email addresses and our personal cell phone numbers here. You can reach out to any of us at any time. And I'll close. I always want to close with this. This is probably one of the most important things that we do, and all the MCOs do. We operate a 24/7, 365 behavioral health crisis line. It is available to anyone in Rockingham County, regardless of ability to pay or insurance status. We will be doing a lot of marketing in the county, billboard, flyers. We've got cards over here with the 1-800 number. We need people to know they can call this number day or night. If they are feeling suicidal, if they are experiencing a behavioral health crisis, they can call this number and they will talk to a live person who is a trained clinician who will help them navigate their challenge, who can also connect them to mobile crisis, get mobile crisis to them, and help prevent a worse situation from occurring. That is a big part of what we do today. It is, again, open to anyone who lives in any of our 32 counties, including Rockingham County. We're already getting calls from Rockingham County citizens who have seen the news. So, thank you very much for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. I appreciate you being here tonight. I appreciate the team that you've brought with you. That is an indication of the concern and the care you'll bring. We appreciate that. Gentlemen, do we have any questions or comments? Yes, Commissioner Barrow.
Yes, ma'am. So earlier you had referenced the mergers of the LEM MCO in order to try to help get out the tailored care. Do you guys have a projected timeline for when we will be seeing the tailored care pushed out?
Yes, sir. VIA's tailored plan is going to be called VIA Total Care. The Secretary Kinsley actually just sent a letter to all LME MCO board members, and I'm happy to get a copy of that to you all, where he emphasized that July 1, 2024, this year, is the date. Tailored plans are going live July 1, 2024. We are prepared. We have been building out a physical health network for quite some time. We have got a very sophisticated claim system in place. We have been working hard to expand our expertise and our scope of operations to manage physical health services, and we are contracting with a pharmacy benefit manager, as all the MCOs are doing, to manage pharmacy services.
Follow-up question. So you mentioned the transition from Sandhills to VIA. Patients won't notice a difference. When it transitions into this tailored package, will patients and citizens notice any changes in the services they receive?
Our goal is, of course, we hope not, right? We want everything to be seamless for them. The difference is that right now, services are bifurcated. So the Medicaid program in Raleigh is managing physical health and pharmacy services for this population, and we're managing the behavioral health and the IDD and the TBI services. On July 1, we will be managing all of those services, which we think is going to give us a greater opportunity to achieve whole person care, right? Which is when your doctor is looking at you at the whole person, right? You don't have your primary care doctor looking at your physical health and some other specialist looking at your behavioral health, and not communicating with each other, not ensuring that your medications are not contraindicated. We have a pharmacist on staff. She's been with us now 4 years. Dr. Heather Cree, who is phenomenal. One of the things she just started doing when she came to work for us is just started reviewing members' medication charts and identifying where, hey, these doctors aren't talking to each other. This one has prescribed this one has prescribed that, and somebody really shouldn't be taking those two medications at the same time. So that's the goal of integrated whole person care, is to really look at the whole person and make sure all their physical health, pharmacy, behavioral health needs are being met, nutrition needs. We're going to be working on housing, all those things that are called the unmet health-related resource needs, the social determinants of health, the things that impact health but aren't actually health care. Those are all things that we're going to be able to start working on.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Barrow. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Richardson?
Counselor Hayes,
Yes, sir.
I didn't know you had that in your background. We like things simple, or some of us need to have things simple. For a lot of people that have heard a lot in the news about Medicaid expansion and perhaps have wondered how it's going to impact them on a daily basis, what does it mean to that person that has either a physical or mental problem to deal with after July the 1st?
So one of the things that Medicaid expansion has done is give the benefits, the much wider array of services and benefits available under the Medicaid program to people who have been uninsured and getting services, the very limited pool of services that are available through state funds. So right now what we have is Medicaid pays for a whole lot of behavioral health services, and then we have this very limited pot of funding for people without Medicaid, for people who are uninsured. So more of those people are going to be able to access the benefits and the array of services available to them under Medicaid, which also then means we can expand the pool of people that we are using the state funds for. Because those people who've been using the state funds are going to be, a lot of them will move to Medicaid, and then we can reach more people with the state funds. On July 1, what this means is that those people will begin, if they're enrolled in Medicaid through Medicaid expansion, they're going to have all of their services managed by us. If they meet, so here, we got standard plans who are already doing that, right? Standard plans are doing that for what I would call maybe the general population. We will be doing this for the population of individuals who have a serious mental illness, what's called a serious and persistent mental illness, who have an intellectual or developmental disability or have a traumatic brain injury. That is the population we are asked to manage by the state, and we'll be managing all of the care for that population.
So a person with a problem can call Mrs. Farrell's group or call this number. You ever thought about changing that number to BR 549, by the way?
We have not, but we can talk about that.
For today's technology. Thank you, and for the public listening in, if they have questions, our staff here in Health and Human Services within the county government is very familiar with all this, and it should seem seamless to you as a recipient, but if you have questions, do call them. Nothing else, you can call any of the commissioners here. We'll put you with the right people if we don't know the answer, or the county manager will.
Thank you.
So unfortunately, we've had to go through several of these transitions, and this looks like this will be a less demanding transition than others that we've done.
I understand from Felissa, I think we're going to be your 5th area authority, which obviously is not ideal. But again, we are committed to making this work and doing the best that we can for your county.
And we keep up with it. we are simple here. If we don't hear anything from Felissa, the life is good.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Thank you, folks. We appreciate you all being here. For the public watching at home, we've got about 8 executives from VIA here tonight, so we appreciate you guys' commitment. And additionally, I'd like to thank Commissioner Richardson for serving on this regional board, and also former Commissioner Keith Duncan. We appreciate you guys being willing to do that. It's a time commitment, and it's certainly very important. So thank you, folks. We appreciate you doing that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Very good. That takes us to item number 9, our Emergency Services Director, Rodney Cates.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Back in, for this budget year, the current budget year, we were approved to purchase 2 ambulances, one of which was a new Ford F550 four-wheel drive ambulance and a remount. The remount is an E450 Type 3 van type that is a majority of our fleet right now. By purchasing the F550 four-wheel drive, that gives us 1 four-wheel drive ambulance at each of our EMS bases. The construction of the remount will soon be underway, but the vendors recently notified us that the F550 four-wheel drive will not be delivered from Ford to the vendor, who is Northwest Emergency Vehicles up in Wilkesboro, until late August of this year. The vehicle then will have to be built to our specs, which takes an additional 90 to 120 days. So we're looking at taking delivery, best case scenario, November or December of next year, or of 24, for our Type 1 ambulance. Since we cannot get this ambulance until that time period, the vendor has offered us an order on a Type 3, which is again what we currently have. We can take delivery of that somewhere late spring. They have those vehicles now and can produce it for us. This allows us to stay on track by having the 2 ambulances per year. We'll get the remount later on, and this vehicle will replace the one that we cannot get until December, which obviously is fiscal year 25 for us. I talked to Pat Galloway about it, and with you all's approval and with Lance's approval, we would request to maintain the current order for the F550 four-wheel drive and place the order that the vendor has offered us for the E450 Type 3, again, that we can get in the spring. The 550 is already on order, so as Pat and I discussed, we would like to leave that order in place. Stopping that order now could potentially put us out an additional 18 to 24 months on delivery of that truck. Once we do finally receive this truck, that does outfit us with 4 four-wheel drive ambulances. We would not be requesting another one until we start to cycle those out on mileage, which should be an additional couple of years out. So our purpose tonight is we would like to request the use of fund balance for the purchase of the E450 Type 3 ambulance. The fully equipped price of that is $253,000, and I think, gentlemen, there's also an accompanying budget amendment that goes with that. What this does, moving forward into fiscal year 25, we would then only need to request funding in the upcoming budget for a remount, which is going to be approximately $160,000 to $180,000. The new prices have not come out. We looked ahead. We actually talked with the vendors last Wednesday. We talked to them. There's no stabilization of these ambulances coming in the foreseeable future. We talked to them about other manufacturers. Of course, we order Fords. We talked about Chevrolets or Dodges or any other type of manufacturer that we could get quicker, and every manufacturer's in the same situation. They're all backlogged, and he even said that a lot of places are ordering trucks now 2 to 3 years out so they can stay on their current rotation. So certainly a problem that we're seeing, I think we'll continue to see moving into the future.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Cates. Gentlemen, do we have any questions?
So, as far as this purchase, I think I heard the vast majority of the answer that I'm looking for, but this fits into the capital plan.
Yes, sir.
And sounds like the reason this is outside of the typical budget process is the back order issues that he's running into.
Yes, sir, and it's a different style.
Okay. All right. No other questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? Very good.
I would offer a motion to approve when appropriate.
Well, sounds good. We have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Director Cates.
Appreciate it.
All right, that takes us to item number 10, Derek Southern, Assistant County Manager.
Good evening, gentlemen. Tonight I'm here as a follow-up from our broadband discussions. About 2.5 years ago, we started with the digital plan of bringing all of the community together to start looking at strategies of making sure that we not only were expanding the project that we worked on of putting broadband throughout the county, but making sure that once we got that, the infrastructure in place, that we had people that could use it, they had access to use it, they had to know how to use it, and if they didn't have the means, what we could do to help them with that plan. So what I'm here tonight is the request and approval for us to move forward with this coalition. The Madison Mayodan Rec Department is going to be the one that is applying for the grant on our behalf, and for the county. We're asking for 7 initiatives to be approved of this. That is 7 of 17 for the total plan, but only 7 involve the county. The main targets is for education, for people that have needs on how to use the internet or how to use devices, to expand Wi-Fi in areas that we don't currently have Wi-Fi, and also to purchase devices through both DSS and through the libraries, that people could come in and use a loaner program if they needed access for health needs or things like that, so they would have a device to use for their health needs. So all we're asking tonight is no request for money. It's just approval for this grant that is being offered by the state. Any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Barrow.
So Derek, no such thing as a free lunch. So I understand that the state is offering up to $400,000 for a grant. What do we have to do to receive that? What is the burden on the county for this?
The burden on the county, most of the burden's been completed. Is part of joining this coalition and working with them and developing a digital plan, which we've done and we've had in place. So we're actually a forefront of that for the counties throughout the state. The burden would be that for like the Wi-Fi devices or the laptops, we would have to purchase first and then get reimbursed by the grant if it was awarded. For the funding of those through 2026, there would be no additional funding needed. If we deem these programs successful, it would be a request at that time from funding from the county, or we would look for other resources for money to continue these programs. For instance, if the laptops needed to be replaced, we would need money to replace those down the road. The coverage or cost of the Wi-Fi would be covered in this grant through 2026, but if we wanted to continue those, we would have the cost of those devices.
It would then become part of the, it would be a budget request, is that what you're saying?
Budget request, or we would look for further grants to move this down the road.
Thank you.
Either or cancel. We have the option to cancel with all of these.
Follow-up question. Does this terminate automatically when the funding runs out, or do we have to do something to, if they choose not to fund it?
The program for the loaner, we could just stop the program. For things that have monthly subscriptions, we would have to follow their 30, 60, 90-day cancellation process.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So do we have a way to trace those cancellation processes? So if it's 30, 60, or 90-day cancellation process, I know those are just examples, but would we have something in place to trace that?
Yes, sir.
So if we've got to the end of the grant cycle, if we don't want to continue that, we're not obligated to spend for 1, 2, or 3 months, or whatever the case may be. We could actually terminate it if we didn't receive another grant.
Correct. If we was to enter into agreement when we run our contracts through the process of contract approval through legal, we have a mechanism that once it's approved, we end the end dates of when those contracts end, and they alert us in advance to make sure they're canceled before any of those dates come up.
Okay. Any other questions? We're not asking for money, you're asking for an approval to apply for
We're
this
just
grant.
asking for approval for these departments' initiatives to be included in that grant submission.
Gentlemen, I'll accept a motion at this
Make a
time.
motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Richardson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Very good. Thank you, sir. Our next item, number 11, Felissa Farrell, our DHHS Director, along with Dawn Chiraba, the Executive Director of the Reidsville Area Foundation. Thank you, ladies.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you?
Fine,
So
thank
thank you for letting us present. In your packet, you had received earlier a memorandum of agreement to continue the work that we've been doing with the Behavioral Health Work Group. This memorandum of agreement is with Reidsville Area Foundation, the Rockingham County Health Collaborative, and of course with DHHS as we continue to move forward with our strategic planning with the gaps analysis that was just completed. So that a memorandum of agreement has been reviewed by our county attorney. He did make some suggestions. We did update those changes, and then we presented it to you for approval.
Gentlemen, do we have any questions?
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Barham.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, ladies. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
That takes us to item number 12, new business. Mr. Manager, is there any new business?
No, sir.
Very good. We'll move on to commissioner comments. I'll ask Commissioner Barrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to everybody that came out tonight. I did want to make one clarification to a comment that was made during the VIA presentation in regard to the security for the BHUC. The BHUC project is on the verge of being completed as it is. Our friends with Daymark did request additional funds for security, but that was not going to prevent the BHUC from being functional very soon. So everybody has been asking questions about that. We're just about finished with construction. Should be end of the week or end of next week. So thank you for everybody at the county that's helped make that possible. Thank you to VIA and all the people at Daymark and my other county commissioners for approving that last year. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Richardson.
Yeah, well, many thanks to the folks that came out tonight. We appreciate your comments and your interest in county business. Regarding transition to VIA, it should be fairly seamless for the public out there, but I do encourage the public, if they have any sort of inquiry, bring it up to Felissa Farrell, to the county manager, and we want to answer it not only for their behalf, but because it could be applicable to the rest of our population. We see things as going well, and people ask questions about Medicaid expansion. Whether you're eligible for Medicaid or not is dealt with at the office level, so make those inquiries about that as well. But the idea behind all of this transition will be more money going to the consumers, those patients that need it, and an ease of operation so that both physical and mental issues are dealt with by the same organization. So we're going into this with our eyes open and being cautious, but we think good things can happen out there. This, of course, is an item that's important for public safety. A weather-related item that's come up, and if you haven't noticed, it's a bit cooler this evening than it was last evening. And I would encourage you to keep up with those folks that might be in jeopardy of suffering disproportionately from the cold. If you know anybody that may not have adequate heat or might lose power, things like that, because it's dangerously cold out there, and it's going to be for several days. Many thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Berger.
Thank you for coming out. I know this is not the normal night of the week that we meet, so certainly appreciate everyone that was able to come out. As far as the mental health, this certainly ties in to some degree with the program that we recently approved to fund with the Veteran Diversion Program, and it's something that is affecting everyone, or every family, without a doubt. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Powell?
I don't believe that I've seen any elected officials here tonight, so I'll say that I thank you all for coming. And thank you to VIA. We did work hard on the BHUC, and you have graciously agreed to continue that and work with them in implementing that. So we are glad to hear about that and look forward to working with you on our mental health and substance abuse issues in the county. I would like to say one thing to Derek. He talked about some of the broadband issues. He was very instrumental in getting broadband across the county, and it was a pleasant surprise to see a group do an article on LinkedIn recognizing Rockingham County for being one of the first in the state. I think it was actually the first in the state on the 2-year program to get this broadband initiative in place, and we were third in the Southeast, I believe, in accomplishing that. So I want to thank Derek for his involvement on that. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I do not have any other comments.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's going to be cold tonight, so wrap up and be cautious. We appreciate all of our residents, so just take care of each other. Tonight, we're getting ready to go into closed session, but I'd like to say after that, we will not be adjourning as it shows on your agenda. We'll be recessing until February 5th at 4:30. We have a budget retreat at that time. So I just wanted to let folks know, because after our closed session, you may not be here. So just remember that next meeting, we'll be recessing until February 5th at 4:30. So anyway, with that, we appreciate everyone showing out here. And do we have a motion to go into closed session? Mr. Barrow.
Sure. I move that we go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute, Section 143-318, 11A1, to approve closed session minutes, and under Section 143-318.11A3 in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the county attorney and the board, and under Section 143-318.11A3 to consult with the county attorney regarding the claims made by Camp Carefree's plaintiffs.
Very good. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. We are in closed session. We'll recess for about 5 minutes.